Head over to BoardGamePrices.com to find the best price and availability for thousands of games. Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here, and I can't believe 2018 is coming to an end. Now recently I put out a best games of 2018. I'll put the link in the description of this video. That one was the best of different types of categories of games. Family games, strategy games, co-op games, things like that. This is my top 10 of the year, just blanket top 10. I'm gonna put also the links to the reviews that I did of these in the description of the video so you can learn a little bit more if you'd like to. So here we go, let's go through my top 10 games of 2018.
Number 10.
Number 10 is a purely negotiation game. You're all sort of animal gangsters, if you will, and you're trying to have the most money in the end. It's called Good Critters. This is from Arcane Wonders. This game is a blast. It's part of the Dice Tower Essentials line. It was brought over from a German game and they rethemed it and they did all the artwork. The art's awesome. In this game, one player is the boss each round and you're trying to essentially extort as much money as you can. You got to split up loot that comes up amongst all the players. You've got to negotiate for what they're going to do in order to keep that loot. Maybe they need to vote that you'll stay the boss, but maybe they'll say they're going to do that but overthrow you and try to rule you out so that they can become the boss. Maybe they'll be robbing other players. Maybe you'll be telling them to do things and they'll agree and maybe they do it, maybe they don't. Maybe you're trying to skim money off the top, but only the first player that does it gets to do it. There's lots of cool things here. It's all about making alliances, breaking alliances. It's all played above the table. It's a quick and easy game. Takes about 30 minutes to play. It's probably one of my favorite, if not my favorite, pure negotiation game I've played ever. That's Good Critters.
Number 9.
Number 9 is going to be a cooperative game. It's a very immersive game. This was a runner-up for my most immersive game of the year, and it's called Chronicles of Crime from Lucky Duck Games. Now, this game is you're trying to solve crimes, but it's very app-driven. So you're going to be using a phone to scan different characters, different locations, different items, and you're going to be learning things about those things. You also have different experts that you can talk to, like the forensic scientist or the hacker to get some stuff out of a phone. But there's also a virtual reality component to this, where when you go into certain rooms, someone will be able to look at a phone and look around and see what's going on, and they can look in 360 degrees and look at the crime scene and be yelling out to other players what they see, and everyone else is going through cards trying to find what they're looking for, what the other player's talking about, and using those different things that they've found to then find evidence about them, talk to other people about them. It's just a really immersive and really cool way to try to solve crimes together. The game comes with a handful of cases in the base game, and there's already many more being released in the expansions. But this is a fantastic, if you like cooperative and crime solving games, this is one that does it with technology that actually works really well, seamlessly, and it's a ton of fun. That's Chronicles of Crime.
Number 8.
Is Between Two Castles of Mad King Ludwig from Stonemaier Games. This took the mechanisms from Between Two Cities that Stonemaier had originally put out, and the theming and mechanisms from Castles of Mad King Ludwig from Bezier Games, and matched those together. So it's a semi-cooperative game where you're gonna be building two castles, as the title says, one on your left and one on your right. Both of those you're sharing with the player to your left and right. So you're gonna be drafting tiles. It's a tile drafting game. You're gonna be selecting tiles and then using them to build castles with somebody else. And each of them are going to look very different. All the castles on the table look different. There's all different strategies to go through because each of the building types or room types have different abilities and they all score in different ways. So you're going to be putting things down and they might score this way or score that way. And you're sort of building and figuring out the ebb and flow of the game. Every game feels totally different because of the way the tiles come out. There's just so much to offer in this game. The replayability is off the charts, and working with each player is really cool because the lesser of your two scoring castles is your score. So you're trying to make both castles the best you can, working with players, planning ahead as to what you're trying to look for. It's just a fantastic drafting tile laying game, Between Two Castles of Mad King Ludwig from Stonemaier Games.
Number 7.
All right, the next one is Wildlands. This is designed by Martin Wallace, and this is put out by Osprey Games. This is not typically a game that I would walk by and say, that's my type of game. There's miniatures on the board, it's dudes on the map looking, they're combating, they're defending. It's not something I would normally like, but this game is really a card game in disguise. It's all about hand management. It's all about using the right card at the right time. And since they're multi-use cards, it's all about trying to figure out what are you going to be giving up when you play this card. Because every time you play a card, you're going to be doing what you need to do, but you're going to be giving up something that you don't want to give up, and it's tough decisions. So you're playing cards to move your little guys around the board, to try to collect crystals, but also to take out other players' units as well. It's a pretty quick game. I mean, it's over in probably 45 minutes, but man, is it great. You're moving around, you're trying to strategize. There's ways that you can interrupt other players' turns and sneak in and get some kills. Each of the factions that are in the game have a completely different, unique deck. Some of them have different abilities. Like some of the factions, one of them can fly around fast, where the other ones are really good about moving together, where another one is really good about combat up close. The other one's really good about shooting things from far away. It's a double-sided board, different ways to play. My gosh, is this a fun game. It reminded me a little bit of Adrenaline from CGE, where that was more resource management. This is much more card-driven. It's card-driven, more like a hand management and a card game. So even if the look of this doesn't look like something you might want to try, it's not for me, but man, was this game amazing. It really surprised me. That's Wildlands from Osprey Games.
Number 6.
All right, the next one is Gizmos from CMON. This is an engine building game. This was my strategy game of the year, actually. And this, basically, I call it like Splendor 2.0. It's picture like Potion Explosion meets Splendor, where you're pulling different marbles out of this little chute, and you're doing different things with those marbles as their energy, and you're spending those to buy cards to build engines. And it's really cool because these engines continue to stack. You might have something that says, hey, anytime you pull a red marble, pick another one of your choice, or pick a random marble. And then it might say, hey, if you build this type of gizmos, like a black one, then you get to do this. And then these things start to stack, and halfway through the game, you're gonna be taking these huge turns and doing this, which triggers that, which triggers this, which triggers that. And it's like these huge turns, and this engine just keeps cranking. And I love engine builders, and I like things to be very streamlined, and this is that. You've got 4 choices on your turn, and turns move very fast. Even with the full complement of players, you can play this in 60 minutes or less, and man, is it good. Replayability is off the charts because lots of different cards. You're not going to see all the cards every game, and it's just about building that engine. Can you get yours to crank up faster than others? The components are awesome. The art is awesome. Fantastic engine building game, Gizmos.
Number 5.
The next one actually was my party game of the year. It's called Trap Words from CGE. It's a very easy game, but it's also very thinky, similar to, say, Codenames that they came out with a while ago that I really love. Now, this is based on a party game that's come out way back, I think, in the 80s, one I played a ton as a kid, called Taboo, where you're giving clues to your team, trying to get them to guess a word, but there's a certain amount of words you can't say. Well, in this, the other team gets to come up with the words that you can't say, and you don't know what they are. So you're just like trying not to step in their trap, which is why it's called Trap Words, trying to be creative with what words and what words you use to describe this, getting your teammate to say it without stepping in these traps that you don't know about. There's also some extra things in there, like there's these different curses that come up that make some of the rounds harder when you're in the lead. Plus, there's also a monster you're actually trying to slay in the end. And this monster has abilities too, and when you're in the room with him or her, it makes it harder to defeat them. So there's actually a lot of gameriness to this too, but it's from a mass market perspective, it's still one that somebody, in Target or something like that could pick this thing up and they could play it too, especially if they're familiar with with Taboo. So it took that. I love it when games come out with classic mechanisms that we know, but then add things to them, and that did that. Trap Words is fantastic from CGE.
Number 4.
The next one is Spy Club. Now, Spy Club is a cooperative game from Renegade Game Studios where you're kids, neighborhood kids, trying to solve crimes. And so from a cooperative perspective, it feels cooperatively. Everyone has open information. You're working together to try to get similar set collection, all cards of one type out on a tableau together, moving things around, manipulating cards, stopping bad things from happening. And there's many ways to lose and one way to win like normal. But what really takes this game off the hook, not just the mechanisms, not just the amazing artwork, the amazing sort of components in this game, the way everything looks and feels, but each game, you're basically playing 5 games in a row as one campaign. Again, the game takes about 45 minutes to play. And after each one of those, you'll be unlocking a new module. And these modules are basically new puzzles to the game. They add new actions you can do, or they add new challenges. Sometimes they add new, I don't want to spoil it, but many new things that will blow your mind. And it's not legacy. It doesn't destroy anything. And if you ever played that module again, it's not like, oh, I've seen this before, because it just changes the puzzle. It makes the game different. And some of these continue to stack as things go on. The game has tons of legs, 40 different modules you can unlock. This game has unbelievable replayability. It's a fantastic cooperative game and family game, Spy Club.
Number 3.
The next one is Detective, a modern crime board game from Portal Games. This was my most immersive game of the year, and this was my most anticipated game of the year, and it lived up to the hype. This game is fantastic. It's so immersive. You're trying to solve this crime cooperatively. Now, these crimes, there's a handful of crimes, 5 I believe in the base game, and each of them is its own case, but there's a lot of connection between the case, and there's an overarching story going over the case, which makes you bring things back from other cases, trying to think things up. Sometimes you're investigating things and you'll get a good score. Other times you'll be investigating things and you'll be off the beaten path, but you'll find cards that go and give you more information about a different case. Very cool. There's a lot of time management in the game, action selection, how much time it takes to go to different places to do different things. So there's a gameriness to it. And the coolest part is that it's a fictitious case, but it uses real life things. You'll be asked to go off and go search Google and Wikipedia and learn things about specific terms and things, and then learn about those things that really are in the real world, but then bring that information into this fictitious world and have it be part of the case. It's just really cool. If you like crime solving games at all, this is amazing. The cases each take, I'd say, at least 3 hours a piece, so you want to sit down and relax and play the game all night long. But man, is this fantastic. Detective, a modern crime board game from Portal Games.
Number 2.
The next one was my card game of the year, and it is called The Mind. This one was nominated for the Spiel des Jahres, and this is one of my favorite games of the year. Obviously, it's my number 2. This game, people either hate it or love it, but most of the people I've played it with love it. It's where you're trying to just simply play cards cooperatively with other players in sequential order from 0 to 100. You're going to have some cards, you're going to play them in order. Sounds simple, but you can't talk at all. All you can do is look at each other, try to become one mind, and use body language. For example, if I have a high card and that's all I have left, I'm going to look very disinterested and not look around, try to let them know that I'm not interested in playing a card. But if I have something close, I'm going to be looking at you, coming close, pretending like I'm going to play it. But if someone else is doing that, then you're trying to figure out, okay, who has the card that's closer. Sometimes you can kind of get rid of cards. Man, it's really, really cool. It is an experience like no other. Some people just say it's an activity. Call it what you want. It's just pure fun. And that's why it's up here. I've used it in so many situations with gamers, with people that don't play games. I've even played this standing in line at a concert waiting to get in. This game is just so versatile. It's inexpensive. You can fit it in your pocket. It can be played in so many situations, and it is just pure fun. That's why it's so high on this list, The Mind.
Number 1.
My number 1 of the year, game of the year, Crypton. This is a deduction game from Osprey Games. Now, I love deduction games. They are my favorite games, and I have a whole pile of them in my whole section of my gaming library that I don't get to play that often because people, I find, don't typically like logic and deduction games as much as others. And I have a hard time getting people to play it. So when one comes out that is A, fantastic, B, scratches sort of that logic, itch, and also plays well with 2 players, which is very hard to do with a logic and deduction game. This has a variant. It's not actually in the rules. You'll have to look on Board Game Geek for that. There's a 2-player variant that's awesome. But in this game, there's a cryptid monster in North America, and he might be hiding out in a swamp or a forest or a desert or water. And you have one piece of the puzzle. You have one clue about where this monster is, but so does everybody else. And you're trying to find out what everyone else's clues are, because once you know all their clues and you know yours, you can win the game and find where the monster is. But it's not just about finding where other players' clues are. It's also mostly about giving up the least information. And so as people are asking you information, you're looking at a board and trying to figure out, how do I tell them information with giving them the least amount of new information possible based upon what they already know about me. So it's actually almost like a reverse deduction game where you're more worried about giving out your own information than you're about figuring out others. It's really, really cool. It's amazing. If you've ever played Tobago, it's an older game where you're putting things like one away from a palm tree, one away from the biggest ocean. It's kind of like that, but in reverse with nothing else bolted on. No other mechanisms, it's just pure deduction, which is exactly why I love deduction games that are super pure with nothing else, and this does that. It is fantastic. If you like deduction games, you gotta check out Crypton from Osprey Games. All right, well, there it is. My top 10 of 2018. It's been a great year. I hope you found maybe some games that you didn't know about. And again, I put the links below of reviews of each of these games that you can learn more about them. This has been the Game Boy Geek, breaking down barriers and growing relationships through board games by helping you find the next one you'll love. Upgrade your gaming experience with Game Toppers, and until the end of the year, with the huge Christmas sale, get 15 to 20% off accessories, thematic mats, storage bags, and rail bundles while supplies last at GameToppersLLC.com.